It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. AEW Dynamite on TBS, and Dynamite has been putting a hell of a show on every single week. Bryan Danielson's chase towards the 60-minute Iron Man match against Bryan Danielson at Revolution, him wrestling every single week. That's got to be pretty attractive to the viewers. You've got the whole women's division storyline where you got Saraya and Toni Storm pretty much going after all the homegrown AEW women. You don't really know who's aligning themselves with who just yet, but that storyline is obviously meant to build up the entire women's division, build interest in the entire thing. Ricky Starks has been on a roll ever since his World Championship loss. Yes, a loss to MJF just about a month and a half ago. Samoa Joe won the TNT Championship back over Darby Allin. It appears we've got the killer Samoa Joe back, but also Wardlow made his return, so that feud, that rivalry is going to kick back into full gear. We've got the Elite in full throttle as the World Trios champions. We've got the Acclaimed. They've got to figure out how to beat the Guns, how to consider a possible future threat in the team of, what are they called? I'm blanking on their name. Darius Martin, Dante Martin. Can't really remember their team name. But they got a big win over the Young Bucks 2-3 weeks ago. And they've been building up momentum to face off against the Acclaimed very, very soon. The whole angle between Adam Hangman Page and Jon Moxley that will escalate and will reach its boiling point at Revolution on March 5th. Everything that AEW has been putting out on TV every single week on Dynamite, every single week on Rampage, it's been stellar. It's been entertaining. It's worked. Unfortunately, it's also a matter of fact that we are currently in the most important season in wrestling yearly, and that is the road to WrestleMania. And a lot of people might think that doesn't have anything to do with AEW. Well, it kind of does, because WWE is also firing on all cylinders. The problem for AEW is WrestleMania is right around the corner, so all of the focus is on the biggest show of the year. Rightfully so. We're talking about WrestleMania in Inglewood, WrestleMania 39. It's the biggest show of the year. How can you not pay attention to that? But again, interest in AEW has dwindled, to say the least, on social media, simply because they can't compete with WrestleMania. And it's a problem that AEW has. It's a problem that Impact Wrestling had back in the day. It's a problem that WCW even had once they started losing the Monday Night Wars about almost 25 years ago. So it's not something new. Now, AEW and Tony Khan do have to start planning on a counterattack. They do need to start thinking about what else can we do to grab the attention of the wrestling fans. Because even though we're putting on great shows, we've got great talent, we're finally doing, at least in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, they're finally doing what I would want them to do, which is building their homegrown stars. Darby Allin, MJF, Hangman Page, the women's division in Ty Conti, Anna Jay, Will Nightingale, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Jade. They're building up Jungle Boy. Orange Cassidy is the All-Atlantic champion right now in the AEW. So they're finally doing what I've been asking them to do for so damn long. They're building their homegrown talent to the fullest of their potential. And eventually, these men will have to get to the point that they're in the main event constantly and consistently. I kind of like equate AEW to what WWF was in 1997. You have all the right parts in terms of the roster. It's just a matter of letting time pass, giving them the right stories, and eventually they will get there. But again, it all depends on time. So as far as that goes, AEW pretty much set for good for the next sorry about that, for the next 2-3 years at least. Now, obviously, this isn't a state of the AEW address. This is a video talking about one of the most controversial stars of the past, 10 years, 15 years almost? We're talking about CM Punk. And the reason why I ask, should CM Punk make a return to AEW, is what are the pros and the cons of having CM Punk return to AEW? The biggest pro of them all is it's going to be newsworthy after all the controversy created during the All Out media scrum, that whole entire press conference that he gave, which was a big clusterfuck of a press conference in its entirety. Should CM Punk come back? Based on his star power, based on the matches and the interest that he would bring back to the product, at least in pop culture, at least for the mainstream fan, yes, CM Punk should make a return very, very soon. And if it were up to me, he'd return at Revolution or the Dynamite after Revolution to really start gearing towards Double or Nothing in May or June of this year. The issue with having CM Punk return is we've read all these reports, we've read all these stories about how superstars in the back, how wrestlers think he's such a great guy, but there's also conflicting reports. There's also conflicting interviews saying that he is not the best guy to deal with. And basing myself on the media scrum alone, I think having CM Punk back is a very big risk that Tony Khan cannot take. Simply because CM Punk won back the AEW World Championship on the biggest stage for AEW possible. And in that press conference, even though he had his direct boss, the man that can fire him, right there on the spot, right next to him, CM Punk decided to go into business for himself. He did not care what Tony Khan had to say or what he thought about what CM Punk was about to say. And the reason for that is WWE is the end-all, be-all of professional wrestling. They are number one in the industry, and CM Punk walked out on them. CM Punk walked out on WWE. He walked out on Vince McMahon. He walked out on the powerhouse of professional wrestling. So if you think that CM Punk is going to be afraid of Tony Khan, if he's going to be afraid or going to be cautious of what AEW can do to him, I don't think so. So bringing that back into the fold with AEW, having him go back into a locker room with a Kenny Omega, with a Colt Cabana, with the Young Bucks, with so many other people that were a part of that backstage incident is too dangerous. It's too much of a risk for him to come back to, at least in my opinion. So based on that alone, CM Punk, he's still contracted by AEW. AEW has not officially released him. They have not come out with an official statement that Phil Brooks no longer works for All Elite Wrestling. So he's still under contract, technically, at least as far as we know. But if it were up to me, no. CM Punk, stay as far away from AEW and WWE and wrestling as a whole as you can. You proved it. It was the biggest night of your career at All Out last year. You won the World Championship after successfully rehabbing an injury. It was your moment, and what did you decide to do? You went into business for yourself, all because you couldn't take comments that Colt Cabana hadn't even made in quite a while. All because you couldn't take comments that Adam Hangman Page made a few months prior on AEW TV. All because you obviously couldn't handle the fact that even though you did win the World Championship at the pay-per-view, the big story coming out of the pay-per-view was that MJF returned. So based on all of that alone, I think AEW should just keep course for the next 2 months, just build itself, build its stars as it's doing right now. Let this WrestleMania, Road to WrestleMania storm pass, and once that happens, once that transpires, both AEW and WWE are going to be on a more equal playing field, and all the wrestling fans and social media are going to be able to just pay more attention to AEW because they are putting hell of a show each and every single week. They are putting in the work, they are putting in the talent, and that cannot go unnoticed for that damn long. It's WrestleMania, and WWE has all this line, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes storyline going, so that's obviously going to take all of the attention away from AEW. But overall, I think Tony Khan has been doing a stellar job with how he's booked his shows so far. So final answer, CM Punk should not ever return to pro wrestling at all. To put it lightly, CM Punk should just ride out, and Tony Khan should just allow him to ride out the remainder of his AEW contract, much like the stars of WCW did once the company folded. That damn simple, at least in my opinion. But hey, it's just my opinion. It's just one guy's opinion. You obviously have a different one, so go ahead and leave it in the comments section below. I'm Alexis Carrillo. This has been Wrestling Talk. Let's get geared up and ready for another edition of Dynamite later on tonight, and I'll see you next time.